See? I
So,
knew
at
that.
this point,
I was 120.
because you have a quorum, I'd like to call your meeting to order. And Vanessa, if you would certify that we have a form of membership and proof of the meeting notice was mailed out. It was,
16 press release. We sent out a 60-day notice, and we also sent out a 14-day notice prior to the meeting. And we do have 129 people present by proxy or here in person.
actually,
because
the
I'm
other
29.
form, we file with the association, I'm sure we're going to do automatically the document certification of notice and certification of the form. Okay? All right. The next thing, because at the annual election, the primary business is the directors.
229.
We need to make this impartial. To do that, the ballot shouldn't be counted by me. They shouldn't be counted by management. They shouldn't be counted by your prior board. They should be counted by you. So what we need is a committee. So what I need is for people, probably take 5 people, all right? Raise your hand and say, I am willing to count the ballots and certify the number of votes cast for each candidate. Can you stand up and say your name? Okay. If this person is acceptable to people, can somebody just say, aye. So moved. So moved. Thank you. Can I have someone say second? Second. All in favor? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You're one. Please come up here. Somebody else want to volunteer? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Your name. Can I have someone who nominated her to be on the committee? So moved. Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? You're up here. Yes, ma'am. Your name. Can I have a motion to put her on the committee? Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? You're up here. I saw someone in the back. Yes, ma'am.
Christina Dickinson.
Okay. Someone want to move that she be on the committee? Yeah. Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, ma'am. I thought I had it open. That's good. One more. Your name, sir. Can I have a thank you. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Does anybody object to these 5 people being the independent committee to count the votes and determine who will be elected to the board of directors? If now, speak up or forever hold your peace.
I have
Great.
a question real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Will anyone from Leland or yourself just verify the votes that those people counted?
No. But I'm going to go through the process, and that should give you a lot of comfort. Okay? I'll point it out in a minute. Okay. So now we've got the appointment of the committee, to count the ballots. Now we're going to, let me go ahead and address this lady's issue. Okay? Ballot count. Everyone need to listen very closely to this. The way that we're going to do the ballot counting is as follows. We're not going to divide up the ballots and you take 30 and you take 20 and you take 15 and you 30 and you 20. No. Each of you will independently look at each and every ballot and determine how many votes each candidate gets independently. So you will each say, Mr. Smith got X votes, Mr. Y got Z votes. You understand? Separately. And before we're going to accept the vote, you all will agree on those numbers. Does everybody understand? That's the way to ensure that there's parity and it's been done right. So that's what you will be doing. Okay? Does that answer your question? That's the insurance. Okay? Okay. At this point, it's time to introduce the candidates, and then we'll do nominations. Let's then also do nominations from the floor. Okay? So are the candidates that are here, can you please stand? And one at a time, if you would introduce yourself, and if you want to say a little bit about why you're running for the board and why you should be selected, please do so. This is your time. Yes, sir.
I'm James Burrow, been here since 2005. Believe in transparency, communication, and contract negotiation.
Thank you. And make sure you speak up and say your name. Yes, sir. Yep, you.
I'm Gary Simmons. I live in Lexington, Grand. Been here for 2 years. My reason for being on the board is to keep property values up and enforce the rules that we have.
Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Kalish, been here since 2009. I'm in Ashford Grand, and I am also all about making sure that the community is involved in every single thing that the board is doing and knowing exactly what's going on, knowing where your money is going, having a say in where your money is going. No long-term contracts. I can't wait to get rid of Comcast. Anybody wants to keep it, you're welcome to. I don't want it. And that's it.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Nancy Murphy. I live in Stratford Grand Villages since '05. The reason that I'm running for the board is because I want to make sure that we have a strong financial steward in charge of our finances to make sure that we remain solvent as well as people property taxes.
Yes, sir.
Of course, Anthony, a lot of you all probably already know me. I've been up here many times. Of course, I'm very interested in transparency of what the board does. I want you to see the minutes of what we do. They published out there. You can see everything on the website you want to see. I want to see our property values go up. Well, part of that is enforcing our rules and bylaws that we have. And part of that also is communicating what our rules and bylaws. So we have to teach people what our bylaws are to help them enforce it, and we'll be good to go. But we have a great community. I believe in our community, and I think we've got a good future ahead of us. Appreciate you both.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Paulette Hudson. I've been up here before too. I agree. I want total transparency with the board. I want board meetings every month. I want the community to be involved. The more input we have from the community, the more everyone, I think everyone's happier. I'm all about finances too. I want to be a good steward of your money. I want to make sure the money's what we're supposed to, it's doing what we're supposed to. I want to read contracts every year, not have any of this automatic renewals, and I'm all about money. And it's your money, and I want to take care of it. I'm Linda Sove. I know a lot of you here. I've lived here since '03. And I would like also for everything to be out in the open for people, monthly financials, so that you can all see what goes on each month. Have all this posted on a website where you can have easy access to it, where you can view documents, where you can view anything that goes on in the board minutes. Once a month meetings, no long-term contracts. I'm totally against this. Also, rebidding out all landscape, I mean, everything that we have, we need to rebid that out and so that we can get the most of our money. That's it.
I'm Mike Lionauti, live in Manchester Grand. I've lived here about 2 years, and I'm here for I am here to help bring change to the community. A lot of you want change. A lot of people I've spoken to want change. They want change with no strings attached. I will bring change to this community. There's a lot of things that need to be done. We need everybody's help to do it. Thank you.
Sorry? Forgot.
Hi, I'm Don Hampton. I've been here since 2003 with my family, and we live in Windsor Grand. We've had a wonderful time in this community. We love it, and we really like to continue to improve on it. The previous board has done a lot for us, and we'd like to continue. Not quite in the same vein that they've had, but we'd like to try something a little different. We want you guys to be involved. We want you to have fun. We want you to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trish, she's running late from baseball.
Okay. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready? Excellent. Good timing. What a way to make an entrance. Please state your name and basically why you're here.
My name is Rebecca Einhorn, and basically I am local to reunite Better Place. There have been many commissions and things like that, and I also want to consider financial and all that stuff, but I think we need to community back together and working together instead of not working together.
Thank you. At this time, what I'd like to ask for, are there any nominations from the floor? It doesn't have to just be restricted to those people, that are already on the ballot who have just spoken. Is there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, can I have a motion? Someone can just say so moved. Motion to close nominations now. Thank you. Second? Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Great, motion carries. The nominations are now closed. Okay, at this point, we're going to proceed with the elections. Is anybody out there who still has not cast a ballot? Okay, can you go ahead and go up here and cast your ballot? Is there another person? I'm seeing a, okay. Thank you, whoever was in the back pointing. I would have done something that would have been bad, which is closed balloting. We don't want to do that while there's still someone out there. You've got a ballot to turn it in. Going once, twice, 3 times. Vote. Can I have someone make a motion to close balloting? Thank you. Second. Wonderful. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Balloting is now closed. Can we please take the ballot box over to the committee? And I'm trying to speak up so everybody can hear me to make sure this is all done in front of everybody. Committee members, which are probably one, got a something that a talent sheet independently, you need to come to the same numbers of votes cast in each direction. Okay? That's how we're going to work it. And with that, I'm going up here. Matter of fact, it's better if you all hear this as well. Here's going to be the procedure. As you all know, there is outer envelopes, inner envelopes, and inside the inner envelope is the ballot. At this point, the committee will open the outer envelopes. They will discard the outer envelopes, placing the inner envelopes with no identifying marks on them, in other words, people's names, into another box. Those will then, once it's all done, be separated, and then they will commence opening the inner envelopes, taking out the ballots, at which point they count them. That's the process that you use to ensure a very valid election. You had a question? Want them to save everything? Yes. I want association to save everything.
Another question?
Yes, ma'am. Sir, I didn't see it. The process is, good question. The question was, what's the process for ensuring that there weren't duplicates, someone casting 5 ballots or 2 ballots? There is a sign-in when the ballots are being done where they check off. That's one. Number 2, when they're doing it, if they see that there's 2 names of the same, both will be disqualified. You understand? So that there's a sign-in, and then there's also that extra protection if it's noticed. Okay? That's the protection. All right. Yes, I heard something. Yes, ma'am. Well, 1 second. Let me go here, and then I'm not trying to cut people off.
So basically, when the ballots are counted, correct me if I'm wrong, please, because the envelopes are separated from the ballot themselves,
Yes.
there is no way to determine who voted for whom.
That is correct. It's a secret ballot process.
And why is that? Because if you ever do, I used to be president of the association, if you ever do a recount and you go back to verify, that's very hard to do.
The reason is, 1, it's mandated by your documents. 2, this is the legislative process adopted and used for condominiums. I know you're not a condominium, but that's where the majority of law and associations comes out of. This is the process that's essentially been adopted by the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. So by doing that, you have greater assurance because you have a double check, actually a triple check. You have a sign-in, then a separation. I agree, if someone's going to go back and do a recount, the recount at that time can only, the evaluation or recount can only check two things. One, the sign-in sheets, and two, the actual ballots, how they were marked, were they counted correctly. You will not be able to tie the ballots to an owner because it's a secret ballot process.
So nowhere in the ballot system, then basically the ballot has, because I used to be president of the association, the ballot also then had the name and the address of the
No.
party.
No. And that's actually, the point is, if you do that, you don't have a secret ballot process. That's the choice that the associations have. Because by doing that, it's no longer secret. So you either have a secret ballot process or not.
I get that part of it. I also get the fact that if there's other legal repercussions with
You gotta choose your poison, which, and your documents mandate this. Okay? Yes, ma'am, I know there's somebody up here that wants a question.
Prior to determining, prior to opening the envelopes, you have to determine whether or not there's more than one vote for a lot.
That is done on the sign-in portion. So that's why it was done.
There's no chance of two votes for
There
one lot.
should not be, as long as it was all done correctly. They were trying real hard up here, so there shouldn't be. Let me come here and then I'll, did somebody up here have a question?
whoever wins, decides to get what position.
You mean, what officer, who's the president, vice president, secretary? Good question. Right now, you're electing directors. Everyone generally thinks that the directors and officers are being the same. They're not. Apples and oranges. They're usually the same people, but they're not the same thing. What happens is you, the membership, vote on who will be your directors. Once the directors are elected, they will hold a meeting. I don't know if those tonight. Okay. It is a brief organizational meeting. The organizational meeting is a board meeting. And at the board meeting, they amongst themselves will decide who will be in what officer position. So just like you motion, nominate, same thing. Motion, nominate, they'll vote as to who will be president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. That will be a board decision that the board members will elect tonight, not a membership decision. But it'll be done tonight. So y'all can stick around and see who gets what officer position. Okay? Yes, ma'am?
As long as it's said all of the outside lights,
Yes, ma'am.
then we can hear those and make sure there's not, everything you're counting is in the blue and glow and the white. And there's no balance in there that was not in, that's a pretty good assurance.
Yeah, that's the concept. Yes, sir. Then I'm going to come back and whoever else. Yes, sir.
I thought the name on the actual ballot.
Yours is going to be discounted.
Can I redo now?
No. So everybody, by the way, everybody gets to hate the association's attorney at some point. This gentleman can hate me immediately. His point is that he put his name on the ballot. It will be discarded. I'm sorry? I understand it. The documents require that it be a secret ballot process. By doing that, the ballot becomes a ballot. Ironically, if you put your name on the inner envelope, it will likewise be discounted. Understand, these aren't rules that I'm trying to make up. This is what your documents require. I have no options. Now I have no options. Okay, one at a time. I'm sorry. I don't know where I was. Yes, sir.
How does that work? So she comes here and she says, tell them, I voted. And secondly, if somebody votes twice, and they've already taken the blue ballot out and thrown it into the envelope, and the white one this morning, how do you determine that the blue ballot are
You won't know. They needed to have caught it before the outer envelope is open. Okay? Once the outer envelope is open, there's not going to be any markings that will disclose what you just said.
Why can't they have a vote second time just for verification that yes?
Because the process is, once it's checked in, it goes to the committee. That's the process. The committee now is in full control of it, not the management, not the board of directors. Going back, you asked another question. I try not to duck questions. You may not like the answers, but I try not to duck questions. In large part, I agree with this first issue. This first issue, for those of you that may not have heard, is, wait a minute. He doesn't care. He's the one that's voting, and he doesn't mind that it's not the balloting is a secret as to him. Why can't we allow that vote? The reason is not, I agree with you, fairly. I think you should. By the way, I really do think you should. Unfortunately, that's not what the documents require. So we got to go by what the documents and the statute require. You can't just say, well, this is what we think is fair. No, you got to go by what's required.
Does the documents typically say?
Yes.
Right on.
Once it's a secret ballot process, there can be no marking law. Okay? All right. Yes, sir. Oh, because they have the question was, how do you know it's an owner, not a renter voting? Because they have a master list that was being checked off. Okay? Okay, you're set. Got it. The question was, this is something I've always thought was interesting. You know, there's a lot of faith and credit given in elections, no matter how much procedure and checks and balances you have. And the question was, wait a minute, how do you know that Mr. Smith actually signed the outer envelope or turned it in? Okay? Okay, I understand. So how do you know it was him? To be honest with you, most of that is taken on faith. I wish I could tell you that the association has a master list of signatures for each and every owner, and the answer is absolutely not. And no, they're not checking it against it. So that's a problem.
But the county does.
Well, but we're not going to, no association does that. But the point, the check and balance is, if by chance someone's trying to do that, then if there was more, if owner cast a ballot and someone else tried to cast it for the owner, the thing that's unfair but has a degree of checks and balances, both ballots would be destroyed. Does that make sense? So neither one would be counted in that instance. I'm not saying it's a perfect world, it's just that's where we stand. I know there's some other questions. Yes?
Suppose a neighbor talked to his neighbors and said, hey, I know that they don't need it. And you guys said, hey, give your ballot. And he wasn't supposed to pour ballots in one hour.
Disqualified. The question was, what happens if Mr. Smith asks his neighbor to give him his ballot, and then he just takes the ballot, marks it, and puts 2 ballots inside an envelope? Disqualified. There'll only be 1 ballot. Okay? Understand the procedures that are in place are to facilitate, in my opinion, disqualifying votes. That's what they're there for. They're more concerned about disqualifying votes. Oh, I almost missed you. I am so sorry. Yes, ma'am.
So for the committee that's counting the votes,
Yes, ma'am.
is there anyone going to be watching over that, or are they not speaking until the end when they discuss numbers, or can they be separated a bit? You're not gonna. The question is, is someone watching over them, or are they somehow sequestered, or anything like that? No. That's why, in part, I like the process of the membership, you all deciding who you're going to trust to count the votes. That's why we went through that whole procedure. You're going to trust those people to count the votes, just like you're going to trust the board of directors to properly operate your association. That is the checks and balances that exist. They're not above that. That's it. They're pretty sophisticated. By the way, we did 5. A lot of associations only use 3. We went all the way to 5 committee members looking over each other's shoulders. There's quite a bit of protection there. Yes, ma'am.
What happened to the ballots that were mailed in?
1 second. Can I have everyone be quiet? I'm having real trouble hearing something. Yes,
The
ma'am.
ballots that were mailed in, where are they?
The ballots that were mailed in were deposited, were checked off on the checklist and deposited in the box. Okay? Again, why? Because they had the name and signature on the outer envelope, so they can be checked off, just like if someone handed them in by person. It doesn't matter.
So if you receive any ballots after today, that won't be counted?
Any ballot received after today will not be counted. Had to be received before we closed the ballot. Remember that motion, the reason we did the motion. Okay. Oh, yes, sir. How many mail-in ballots do we get? I've finally been stumped on a question. I don't know. I'm sorry? 135 mail-in ballots. Understand, I don't get them, so I don't know. Okay. Any other questions? And I'll be glad to open up to more questions later. Any other questions before we move forward? Let me go here and now come here. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to find out what percentage of what constitutes a quorum? For the purpose of a vote.
10% of the membership.
10% of the membership constitutes a quorum?
Yes. 127.
Here's your bylaws can designate your quorum, okay, with the minimum number per quorum. So understand, I represent over 800 associations, by the way. The ironic thing is so many communities were having trouble reaching a quorum that our legislature intervened and by law said the maximum quorum is 30%. Not a minimum quorum. Notice I didn't say a minimum. Okay? Maximum is 30%. For my communities that are over 1,000 units, you know what I recommend their quorum be? Whoever shows up at the meeting. You have so many people who wants to sit here and count, 300 names to make sure that that quorum is done. But, quorum can be, whatever your documents say, provided it is not greater than 30%. That's the maximum. The reason is, associations weren't getting quorum. By the way, you guys barely made it. Remember? So it's probably good that it's low. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. I knew there was one more.
So you're saying the close, you're saying close and
I want them to say, by the way, let me make sure. All of the yes knows my instructions. I want to say the outer envelopes, I want to say the inner envelopes, and I want to say the balance. Yes, ma'am. Okay, that's what I recommend. Did I have a question over here? I'm sorry. Sir, did you have a question? Okay. Didn't work. Anybody else? Okay. All right. At this point, we have one board member here, and I'll have him stand up and introduce himself, and he will read the minutes of the last membership meeting, not the board meeting, the last membership meeting. Probably your last annual meeting, by the way. Why don't you go ahead and do that so you all can hear him, and then at that point, if you all are satisfied, someone can say, I move to approve the minutes, and we'll vote on it. Okay? Thank you.
Well, thank you. My name is Jeffrey Seneca. I've served on the board for a year now. It was about 13 months ago that I was elected. I'm going to read the annual minutes. Please understand that I did not write these. I'm just reading them. So anyway, you'll understand why as we go along here. Okay. Call to order was at 6:36 p.m. The meeting notice was mailed to the membership 14 days prior to this meeting. All attendees and proxies were counted. Total of 262 members were represented, and a legal quorum of the association membership was met. Cheryl Moore, association president, introduced the third board of directors to the membership. She touched on the following topics: annual expenses, the amount of delinquent money collected, the pool slide issues. Cheryl Moore addressed the members and asked if there were any nominations from the board. With no nominations provided, the association president introduced all the following candidates running for position on the board: Foster Anthony and Jeff Exotic. Each candidate was given an opportunity to introduce themselves to all in attendance and speak to why they should be elected to the board. Each candidate was given 3 minutes to speak. Cheryl Moore also addressed the members' concerns and provided a quick synopsis of the state of the association. Mrs. Moore asked for 3 volunteers to count the ballots. The volunteers were Joe Casuccio, Michelle Anderson, and Danny Anderson. Ballots were collected by the association manager, Vanessa Martinez, and Debbie Clever. At this time, a representative for code enforcement gave a presentation and answered questions. Literature was given to the members present. Ms. Prokopowicz began to read the 2011 annual meeting minutes written by Debbie Flesher, approved by the association attorney, Frank Ruggieri. She was interrupted by Mrs. Sudduth and loudly advised that Mr. Anthony was the secretary and that those were the minutes to be presented to the membership. Other residents joined in on her request. Mr. Anthony read his version of the minutes. After much dialogue, discussion, and dispute regarding Mrs. Moore's disqualified vote, Mr. Ruggieri explained that his opinion was to throw out Mrs. Moore's ballot due to the fact it was unclear to the volunteers counting the ballots at the 2011 annual meeting. After further disputes, a motion was made by Ms. Williford and was made to amend the minutes drafted by Mr. Anthony. The motion was not seconded, therefore it did not pass. Mrs. Sudduth made a motion to approve the minutes drafted by Mr. Anthony. The motion was seconded, passed by a majority of voices. Ms. Martinez at this time gave the results of the election. Mr. Anthony had 75 votes, and Mr. Yatsenik had 112 votes, making Mr. Yatsenik the winner. The meeting was adjourned at 8:16 p.m.
to accept the minutes as read? So moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Election results is the next thing on the agenda, but I don't think we're quite ready. So we'll just keep going down the agenda and come back when we can. The next item on the agenda we can't do. The next item on the agenda is appointment of nominating committee by the board for the following year's annual meeting. Technically, that can't be done here. Why? It's a membership meeting. It's not a board meeting. Nominations by the board have to be done at a board meeting, so that can't be done here. Okay? So that'll have to happen later by the board of directors at a board meeting. You have a board meeting tonight, but it's probably only a single purpose meeting. So I recommend that that be postponed until later. Okay? Remember, the organizational meeting of the board that's going to transpire immediately upon the end of this meeting will only be for the purpose of electing the officers, president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Okay? Yes, sir.
If there's an action that comes out of this, the board
Question was, I want to repeat it as an action question. Question was, in the event something comes up, can the board, I get this right if I don't, correct me, can the board take action because it's going to already have a board meeting at that time? Part of it is, it depends. I prefer not. Why? Because, think of it this way, the association is made up of all the owners. You all are entitled, not only you, but who's not here, and for anybody that leaves because it's only going to be an organizational meeting, you're entitled to know what we're really going to discuss. Now, if it's an emergency issue, absolutely. Under the agenda that's posted, if it's listed, like you have new business, which is our next item here, if the board agenda that was posted about what's going to be discussed included new business, yeah, but I don't like it. The reason I don't like it and I won't recommend it is I like the membership, all of you, and who's not here tonight, to have notice of what's going to be discussed. That way, if it's an issue that's important to you, you have the ability to show up and speak on that topic and make sure that your voice is heard by the board members. That's why I don't like it.
Okay, well, doesn't actually have getting rid of minutes, unapproved minutes, is it not?
Well, reading and disposal of any unapproved minutes. Disposal in that context only means approving them, changing them, and then reapproving. Okay? That's the minutes that were just read and approved. They are kept as part of the official records of the association. They must be kept as part of the official records of the association. By the way, there's a whole series of laws that govern this. For homeowners association, if anybody ever wants to look at Florida Statute 720. In Florida Statute 720, it lists all the official records, which is a laundry list of a bunch of things. Ironically, the very last one is a catch-all, which is about anything else that's a document that reflects association business. Very broad. Part of the reason I want everything kept. Again, the concept is to make everybody be comfortable with what the association is doing, what the board of directors is doing, and so that everyone can see what's happening so that it's still confident. That's the whole concept. Part of the reason I prefer that items at the board meeting be told to everybody in advance so they know if this is important to you, show up. I think that's fair. That's what I think is the right thing to do. Okay? All right. The next item on here is new business. Now, I need everybody to just remember, this is your meeting. Not the director's meeting, the old one or the new one. It's the owner's meeting. Does anybody out there have an item of business or something that they want to talk about and raise to the membership? If so, this is your point in time in the meeting to do that. Wow, we already have some people. Yes, stand up and go.
I spoke to someone who was the employee of builder this development first opened. They told me the first certificate of occupancy was for a model loan that occurred on April 27th of the year that they opened. So this would have been our cable contract, which should end April 27th of this year. For Comcast, for the cable company. They were the ones selling cars, basically before they had off of their car. They said April 27th was got record for the first model at certificate of occupancy. Is there any way you can check into that and figure out, since it doesn't sound like Comcast will respond and give us a contract? It seems like they want to say December, filed with the Board of County Development says April 27th, for the contract, first service or certificate of occupancy.
The answer to that, can we check into my law firm? Yes, but the board of directors is the one that will have to direct that, okay? Understand, your association is a corporation. You're Exxon, you're, Shell, I don't care, pick any corporation. The only difference is you're not for profit. You have a pretty big budget, by the way. So corporations act through their boards of directors. So the board of directors that you elect are going to make 98% of the decisions for your corporation, your association. That's why it's important to elect well. They're going to make all sorts of decisions, including what my firm as the attorney for the association undertakes, looks at, investigates, just to let you know.
The question has been raised in the past that we were told that that's already been sent through, to be looked at. Is there any results from that request?
Okay.
He said the first certificate of occupancy for the first installation. So they're going out with the first installation with the second.
That's not the person's way. According to that,
That's
that's
what
the
they
same.
said
According to
no.
that lady, she said they had the ability to have it in their model. They chose not to. Well,
Right, and what they gave us was proof of the first time that they did the installation, when we started paying for it. That's all we can go by.
We can look at it, if the board wants to turn it over, that's fine. Oh, by the way, like at the last meeting and everything that happened at the last meeting, I need everybody to understand, your association changed law firms after that meeting. Just to let you know, we're not the same law firm, so. This, you're probably getting a pretty good feel for how I and my law firm does. By the way, if we get asked a question, especially by the board, you're going to get the answer. It ain't going to be sugar-coated. It isn't going to be what you want to hear. Here's the answer. Here's what reduces risk. That's mine and my law firm's job, to try to reduce risk of this association. Okay? That's our job. Somebody else has to do business. Yes, ma'am?
There was an issue that was approached at the last board of directors meeting with regards to the certificate that Dolly wanted to have within the association. That was tabled for this meeting. That's something that we are going to discuss and bring up.
Well, it would not, if I understood it right, there was some business discussed at the last board of directors meeting that was tabled. And for some reason, people thought that it would be handled at this meeting. That makes no sense. The reason is, remember, that was a board meeting. This is a membership meeting.
It was supposed to be taken out of the advisory board at the time that they were.
Okay, then that will be at the next board meeting, but probably not tonight, in the near future. Okay? But I do need you all to understand, the board's changing. Okay? So the new board will be deciding what it does, when, how, with it. Okay? Give an example. I like to use my firm as an example. Okay? I kept hearing about long contracts. Association, board of directors, you can fire my firm at will. Tomorrow. That's simple. Okay? Literally. Right? Now, point being, though, the board is going to evaluate what it wants to work on, when, how, etc. Okay? So we'll get guidance, especially as they ask questions on my law firm. Yes. And for management. But point being, that would be that board's decision. They could decide, despite what the old board decided, no, we're not. You want to point that out to them. However, it was an important topic. I hope they will, if they get up and address it. And get back to the membership. Again, the concept, no one talks about transparency. Communication is hard in associations. People don't want to read the stuff that comes from their associations. I do encourage you all to be involved. Again, your association, it's not mine, not management, not even the board of directors. They run it, but it's your association. Stay involved. Run for the board. Get on committees. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Has anybody addressed the liability for the board of directors? Basically, I know in the past that board of directors have,
Fiduciary duty.
yeah.
I'll cover it.
Not only fiduciary duties, but rather, say, the community decides to sue the board. Not
I'll talk to you about that. I'll cover Dina.
And then the board, of course, has to provide legal services for themselves in order to be able to mandate that they're not going to be held responsible. So in the event that that happens, what is the insurance that a board of directors, that a board member on the board of directors has, if not personally, held responsible for the decision.
Okay. That's an entire lecture topic. I can see if I can reduce it down to a more brief answer. Okay, let me cover it this way. Everyone wants to know about protections. I need everybody to understand that, especially whoever gets elected to the board. Board members, you will owe a fiduciary duty to the association and the homeowners. A fiduciary duty is the highest duty imposed by law. There is no higher duty. It is in the nature of a trustee. You understand how much obligation you owe to the association. That doesn't mean as board members you ever have to be right in a decision or a vote, but you must be reasonable. And the perspective from which you make decisions has to be that is from what is in the best interest of the board while following the law and the governing documents. Remember all those election issues that people didn't like some things about how it was being done? Got to follow documents. That's the fiduciary duty that the board members owe. So the first thing all the board members should do is go, whoa, I really want to be on the board. Hey, can I be sued individually? Absolutely. Okay? So I told you I'm just going to be up front. She asked the question, I'm going to answer it. Okay? Then why should a person put their personal assets at risk? Why should someone serve on the board if they can be individually sued? The reason is as follows. I can pull it out of your documents. Most documents in the bylaws provide that, and I'd have to check, I don't know if yours does, but about 80% of them, that the association will hold harmless and indemnify any board member who was pursued, sued, or a claim was made against them in the course of acting as a board member. That's one protection that you probably have. If your bylaws do not provide for it, I don't care. Why? Because I strongly recommend that if one of your board members or officers gets sued acting in their board capacity, as long as they're not embezzling or something, that the board, even if you don't have that provision, you defend them to the nth degree. Why? Because if you do not, nobody in the future is ever going to serve on this board. It's a matter of practicality. Number two, all associations for their board members and officers should have what we call D&O coverage, director and officer liability coverage. And that's to protect and have an insulation factor in case they are sued in their corporate capacity representing the association. Now, let me tell you how important I think D&O insurance coverage is. All the new board members who are going to get on the board, please hear this well. I think it is the second most important bill this association will ever pay. There's only one bill that's more important, that's mine. That's your protection. Do it. Keep it, because if you don't have it, then I think it's valid not to go on board. And I don't, even with the whole harmless indemnity, keep that D&O insurance. I want 2 layers of protection for my board members and for the officers, because they're serving you, and the last time I checked, they don't get compensated really well. And if they do, they're probably going to jail. So yeah. Okay, other new business. Any other hard questions? You all have really pushed me tonight. Yes, sir.
That insurance doesn't cover a board member or something outside of scope of their duties.
Yeah, it's not cover them individually. Mr. Smith's on the board and he has a lawn service and he's drunk one night, runs over some kid's foot. No, it's not going to trigger D&O insurance. Okay? It's for what you do as a board member or officer. Yes, ma'am.
How does it work though if you have a current board member that you know insurance is protecting and you have someone that might potentially be elected to this board that is actually suing that member? Where does D&O take over and kick in and do all of that?
Well, D&O isn't going to prosecute a claim. So if it's someone that's being elected to the board who's suing for a board member or something, okay? That will come out of the person that's coming on the board that's doing the suing, plaintiff. That he's got to pay for that out of his personal expenses. The existing board member should have the insurance company defending them, and if for any reason the insurance does, we recommend, as I just said, pay association pay for the defense. Probably not, but that's their issue.
Right.
So there's not a problem.
Okay, thank
Okay?
you.
It just has to do with division of responsibility and expense. Okay. Other questions? Wow. Good. I'll sit down while we're waiting for the tabulations to complete. If someone comes up with something else, I'm not going anywhere, just let me know. Thank you.
Kind of along with
How are the legislators doing with combining condo law with owner associations? Maybe the best way I can explain this is I've probably been asked, I don't know, 20 times to be one of the attorneys to go up and explain law and advocate law and educate our legislature as to what the law should be for associations. I've been asked to do it, I don't know, numerous groups, 20, 30 times. I've never agreed to do it. I've always advocated refused, and the reason is I'd have to kill them. And the reason is I always want to tack this bill on with this thing, not let's do what's right, it's what's politically, favorable right now. Oh, and if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I can't deal with it. Like when the board is on here, they'll ask me a question, we give them the answer. I may get fired for the answer, but they're going to get the answer. It's the only way I know how to think. To answer your question, I don't think they're ever going to get it completely aligned, but you have to understand, condo law is, the condo statute is 10 times longer than the HOA statute. The HOA law seems, to a large extent, to grow out of condo, it lags, all right? Do I think it's going to get anytime soon to be essentially the same? No. Do I think that the condo law is a precursor of what the HOA law will try to become over time? Yes, but there are some major differences between condos and HOAs. So in those instances, they can't reflect. Ironically, the entire election procedure, totally different for condos and HOAs. Your election procedure, let me explain. Condominium law has a very specific election procedure. By the way, it's almost identical to the election procedure you use. However, that's not what 720 says. 720 says, hey, HOAs, you will follow whatever election procedures your documents provide for you. You can make whatever the heck you want. More and more HOAs, though, are using the condominium procedure like you because it has more fail-safes, usually becomes less challenging. That's all. Yes, sir. Drop what? Okay. It depends on why you're there and what capacity. Are you said, what if I drop a tent on somebody and injures them? Does that mean it's on me, or does that go to the association in terms of defending? Fair question, but I can sort of the answer is, depends on why you were holding the tent and why you were there. Did you come to the block party as an owner, being an owner, and were you playing with the tent as an owner, or were you there as a board member? You follow me? Then you have an argument that the DNO should cover. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Give me some, that's a question. Question I'm going to ask. I don't have a clue what to ask. I'm sorry. What's the number of almost so they still check them off.
All right, I'll do it with the highest amount of votes for the winners, and then everybody else, I'm just going to go down with the number of votes. So the highest amount of votes was 174, and that is James Marone. Then we go to 126 votes for Don Hanson.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan. Actually, I lied. 135 for Mandy Murphy, and then 126 for Don Hanson. And then 120 for Tricia Minor. Hanson, Minor, Marone, and Murphy. Then we had Paulette Crescent. 103 for Derry Sims. 102 for Linda Sutta. And 1 vote for someone named Alistair Warden.
Just come up to the front real quick. Thank you.
Tomorrow or Friday?
Good luck.
Yeah.